The Torah is taken from the ark. As we explain, it is written in the book of Deuteronomy, Devarim. It says, at the end of every 7 years in the sabbatical year, you shall read this Torah before all Israel in their hearing. Gather the people, the men, the women, and the little ones, and your stranger that is within your gates, that they may hear, that they may learn and revere the eternal your God, and observe to do all the words of this Torah. And it says, Moses is instructed regarding words of Torah, saying, put it in your mouths. Accordingly, we engage in a 7-year cycle of putting Torah in our mouths by reciting from 1/7 of the Parsha each week, so that by the end of the sabbatical cycle, we as a community have honored every passage of the Torah. The Torah is taken from the ark. In 5785, we are reading from the third Aliyah, and we utilize the Torah blessing described in Masechet Sofrim for private study from the Torah scroll. Okay, so there's not a lot of ceremony because, yes, we should close that. Not a lot of ceremony because this is not a Torah service. We're taking the Torah out to study a little. Once the Torah is back here, you can actually sit down and, yes, put it right here. Okay, you may be seated. We're reading from, we're reading in the Chumash, page 290, verse 24. Page 290, verse 24. Page 290, verse 24. Okay, so the blessing, there's the blessing right there.
There's the blessing. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat min hashamayim, v'hayei olamim mimromim. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Vayishma Moshe.
Got it.
Amen. Vayishma Moshe lekol chotno vayas kol asher amahar v'yevchar Moshe anshe chayil mikol Yisrael v'yiten otam roshim al ha'am sarei alafim sarei ma'ot sarei chamishim v'sarei asarot ושפטו את העם בכל עת את הדבר הקשה ויביאון אל משה וכל הדבר הקטון ישפטוהם וישלח משה את חותנו וילך לו אל ארצו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'kayei olam notah b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Okay, put that over there. So Moses listened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. And Moses chose able men out of all of Israel and made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. And they adjudicated, they judged the people at all seasons. The hard causes they brought unto Moses, but every small matter they judged themselves. And Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went his way into his own land. So, Moses listened to his father-in-law and did all that he had said. Specifically, this verse is referring to the advice by Yitro, Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, that he should create a way to share the burden of hearing the judicial cases of the people. The role otherwise was too large for Moses to do by himself. In that regard, Moses listened to his father-in-law and did all that he had said. Yet this verse also very much reminds us of one of the obligations voiced in what is called in English the 10 Commandments, and in Hebrew it is called Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 words or statements or utterances, the 10 things that were spoken, following from the very final verse before these 10. The very final verse reads in Exodus chapter 20, Ve'adaber Elohim et kol hadvarim ha'ele lemor. God spoke all these speakings and said, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, and so on. And the fifth element of these speakings is kabed et avicha ve'et imecha. Honor your father and mother, so that your days shall be lengthened upon the ground that Adonai your God gives you. These 10 commandments, these 10 speakings, are in this week's Parsha as well. We read the third aliyah. It's a later aliyah, it's one aliyah, that the 10 speakings, the 10 commandments in English is read. And the fifth of these speakings is honor your father and mother. In the same way that we are told to honor our father and mother, so Moses listened to his father-in-law. Not only did he honor his father-in-law, but he appreciated and honored his wisdom by doing all that he had said. For it seems that one implication of this instruction to honor our father and mother is also the inference that we are to honor the wisdom and heritage that comes down to us through them from generations past. As we read in Proverbs chapter 1, Shma beni musar avicha ve'al titosh torat imecha. My child, hear the instruction, the musar of your father, and do not abandon the Torah of your mother, for they shall be a graceful garland for your head and a necklace around your neck. All of that is presuming, of course, that the child-parent relationship here is not a difficult one, in which case the words necklace around your neck may justify an alternative translation, chain around your neck, and that garland for your head then becomes an altogether different kettle of fish. Nevertheless, even in a very difficult parental relationship, the obligation to somehow honor your parents still remains. It just becomes much more complicated and difficult, and the lessons learned may more be through negative example than positive ones. Perhaps it is because honoring parents at times can be difficult that it is listed as a commandment at all. If it always happened without saying, there would be no need for the Torah to command it. Nonetheless, inherent in honoring parents is the response that Moses gave to his father-in-law, that is, honoring the wisdom and heritage that somehow flows from past generations through them to us. Part of our heritage was celebrated throughout the Jewish world just yesterday. It was Tu B'Shvat, New Year of the Trees, birthday of the trees. Did you see the full moon? The full moon, it was a beautiful full moon. The full moon is always the middle of the month, the 15th day of the month. I saw that full moon and I said, yes, Tu B'Shvat. Here at Temple Beth Shalom, we noted the celebration of Tu B'Shvat earlier this month with an intergenerational celebration for the season. You see here, I have up here one of the trees that were made by the 2, 3, and 4-year-olds. The trees, these intergenerational celebrations we are starting to hold on a seasonal basis have developed into very joyous occasions because it anchors us in future and past. We come together with the very young children representing the future to celebrate the particular season of our Jewish calendar connected to our past. We celebrated Tu B'Shvat, the 15th day of the month of Shvat, a day whose importance began because there was a need to know how to mark the age of trees for purposes of tithing fruits for the first 3 years. It says in Leviticus, when you enter the land of Israel and plant any tree for food, you shall regard its fruit as forbidden. 3 years it shall be forbidden for you, not to be eaten. Well, but when does 1 year end and another year begin for trees? The answer given is associated with the natural timings of the wild almond tree in Israel, a tree that buds and blooms earlier in the winter than almost any other. When the earliest trees are budding in the land of Israel, that is the beginning of the year of the annual cycle for trees. Significantly, what that means for us in the diaspora, outside the land of Israel, is that we celebrate the life of trees everywhere, wherever we are in the world, in accordance to the timing of the life of trees in the land of Israel. Just like we celebrate Passover, the holiday of the spring, wherever we are, even if we are in the southern hemisphere like Argentina or Australia and it happens to be autumn, we're celebrating Passover when it is spring in the land of Israel. We add prayers for abundant rain when it is needed in the rainy season in the land of Israel, even if those prayers are out of season in the particular diaspora location where we are. Tu B'Shvat reminds us not only of the interconnections between us and the environment, indeed of the interconnections of all things symbolized by a tree with its roots in the earth and its branches in the heavens. Tu B'Shvat also reminds us as Jews of our own particular geographic center, our own particular communal geographic center, which we inherit through our spiritual parentage, focused on the land of Israel where we as a people originate. We do not have an established holiday to celebrate when the flowers start to bloom right here where we live. We celebrate the blossoms of the world when they appear in the land of Israel. Wherever we are, we connect to our communal geographic center. It is part of what unites our present with our past and our local community with Jewish communities around the world, past, present, and future. It is part of what keeps us together as a Jewish civilization. Our Jewish civilization is structured with a center and a periphery, Zion and diaspora, each of which is important to the other, both of which are essential to maintaining Jewish life. I want to let you know in this season of Tu B'Shvat that the rabbis of the Harrisburg community collectively have made a connection with the municipal regional council in Israel called Ramat HaNegev, Negev Highlands, in order to build an ongoing relationship between the Jewish community of Harrisburg and central Pennsylvania with the scattered communities of the northern part of the Negev desert of that municipal region. The residents there, from what we have heard from them, seem eager to have a relationship with communities beyond themselves because they are just as isolated in general as we are Jewishly. They told us the Ramat HaNegev Municipal Council region covers about 25% of Israel's land, but only 10,000 people. The people are as diverse as we are, including secular Jews, Orthodox Jews, liberal religious Jews, and Israeli Bedouin Arabs. So I urge you to investigate online the community of Nitzana, in the Negev desert not far from the Egyptian border, where we hope to join with them in their efforts to build a teen cafe for their teens scattered throughout their 15 villages, and also for our teens from a distance. There are many projects we can work on together and many possibilities for visits to each other's communities. I also take this moment in discussing our interconnections with all the world and with the natural world and the Jewish world to remind you that we have elections coming up. I'm not referring to a primary in Pennsylvania. I'm talking about the World Zionist Congress elections, in which representatives from throughout the Jewish world will be elected to set policies that will direct the flow of funds, at least $1 billion in funds, into projects throughout the land of Israel. This is extremely important. Let us work to get the word out to our members to help contribute to a world of peace, justice, and righteousness, and flourishing life for our people and our neighbors. Shabbat Shalom.